Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and it's the 30th anniversary for Deadpool. So we're going to be taking this new uniform into some gameplay and testing it out to see how it lines up and how it matches up with the premier uniform for Deadpool, which is the Holiday Lady Deadpool uniform for the holidays from, Christmas 2019. Here we're on stage 75 rather than 99, which is what I think you guys are used to seeing for Deadpool these days on regular World Boss Ultimate. We're down to 75 so I can get through these comparisons a little bit faster, and also because I actually swapped my Deadpool for a CTP of regen for PvP. And so I will use the regen later on to showcase some PvP action, because I do think this uniform is built for PvP. So there we go. That took about 38 seconds to get down to this 7-bar window, which is what I'm going to be measuring here. I don't have to worry about a proc, but I'll talk about later why I think this uniform is probably going to be a wash or possibly worse for you if you have a damage proc or a CTP of energy on Holiday Lady Deadpool now before you buy this 30th anniversary uniform. But let's do the comparison here first, and then we'll talk about it. The major differences between these two uniforms: the newer uniform, the 30th anniversary uniform, of course, it's female to male with the gender. But then you have, 10% more guaranteed dodge. I think you have a bit more max HP. You have 20% extra heal when you drop below 35%. Instead of getting a 40% or a 45% heal, you get a 65% heal. And then the third skill for Deadpool now has a damage proc that you can pass on to another skill. So those things are missing from this Holiday Lady Deadpool uniform. But you know what? This Holiday Lady Deadpool uniform is really good, because all you have to do is 5 cancel 4. And you cancel 4 a little bit short at the end there. Well, you get frozen and get all these awesome debuffs. But anyways, you cancel 4 a little bit earlier so that you maintain the amount of all defense down that you want. But look at this. Super easy, super high damage. You're stacking that all defense down, and it's just such a smooth rotation because, because you can cancel 5 right away. That's going to be sort of the key thing here. Okay, we're getting interrupted. Yeah, all this stuff is basically, the time is basically the same, right? I got snared for like 5 seconds, which easily covers the 3 seconds that were actually slower. So damage-wise, these two uniforms seem identical for PvE, and that's sort of understandable because the 100% all defense down basically creates the situation where you're just dealing true damage. So unless they play with the damage numbers or they increase the buffs, which they didn't, right? The buffs are basically the same: 30% all attack, all defense. And then you go over here to this one, you take a look. What is it? Oh, it's 15. Okay, it's a little bit higher. It's actually double, but the stats are so low, right? 36,000 physical attack. So 15% more of that is just not that much. It just doesn't work out as a buff that's meaningful. And for PvE, this Deadpool seems exactly the same. And then for PvP, well, we'll talk about PvP, but for Null World Boss Legend, for example, it honestly seems worse. It honestly does seem worse. So you're not actually getting an increase there either. Now, here's one thing I want to talk about. I can't actually showcase the difficulty with this, but unlike the Holiday Lady Deadpool, where when you cancel 5, the sleigh keeps sort of moving around, so you can just easily cancel that into 4, you can cancel it into 6. That's not the case with Deadpool. As soon as you cancel the 5th skill, the card disappears, so you don't get those hits, right? You just don't get that damage, right? So you can see here, well, we wait a few seconds here and I'll show you. As soon as you cancel the 5, you get a couple of hits from the machine gun, but it's not the same. It's not the same at all, right? With the Holiday Lady Deadpool, you let that 5 go, and it keeps going. But see, you can see with 5, as soon as I cancel, well, okay, I tried to cancel with the auto attack, but basically, as soon as you cancel, the 5 basically stops running. And so, because of that, you have to let it run. See, if you cancel too early, nothing happens. You don't get any shooting or any, machine guns. And so, because of that, if you're going to do that 5 cancel 4 combo, you actually have to let 5 play out for a little bit. Now, that could work, but you guys know RNG, sometimes it's not going to work. So sometimes your 5 is going to proc your CTP of energy. And then when it procs your CTP of energy instead of your 4, you lose the damage, right? So that is one thing that I immediately noticed when I did have a CTP of energy on Deadpool. Did she just do it again? That's one thing that I noticed immediately when I was using Deadpool, is that See there, I canceled too early. That speed of canceling was, you know, what I would have done with Holiday Lady Deadpool. I think I'm gonna die here because I'm just getting so unlucky with all these crazy effects. Okay, bit tankier, but you know, Holiday Lady Deadpool, that's how you would do it. But it just doesn't always work the same way, right? There's more of a delay with Holiday Lady Deadpool, so it really feels like this uniform wasn't designed for PvE, and it was more designed for PvP. You know, all these defensive buffs, you have, you know, a 60% heal here, a 65% heal instead of a 45% heal. If you go over to the uniform effects, you've got 20% increased max HP and 20% guaranteed dodge, whereas this one is 10% and 15. So they up the HP, they up the guaranteed dodge. If you go back to the skills, they added iframe ignore. So you're looking, it's like, you know, HP, dodge, iframe ignore. This sounds like PvP buffs. So that's why I built Deadpool for PvP. Because honestly, for PvE, I don't really use Deadpool anymore. Deadpool, Holiday Lady Deadpool is not good against Null. Now, I did make a video showing that Holiday Lady Deadpool with the CTP of energy can beat Null. And if you have Pierce on your cards, like if you have the blue stars, you can go even higher than stage 1 or 2. But, you know, why would you drive your, no offense, but why would you drive your Honda if you could drive your Ferrari, right? Why am I playing stage 2 or stage 3 with Deadpool when I can go and do stage 10 with Gambit or Null or Odin or Sentry or Doctor Strange or Moonstone or Sharon Rogers? Like, there's so many characters, right? And then I'm not using Deadpool for regular World Boss Ultimate because I just need to play Null, right? I don't even need the combat books from Proxima, which is generally what Deadpool is good at. Null can do Corvus and Proxima basically as fast as Deadpool anyways. So I was like, you know what? Let's try it out. They want to use this uniform for PvP. That's what they're giving us. So let's see how they did. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a bit of a spoiler ahead of time. The results are not pretty. Now, I tried with 2 different teams. This is Sentry Lead, Deadpool, and Taskmaster. I also tried Sentry Lead, Deadpool, and Colossus. Colossus is nice because you get an extra physical defense max HP buff. So that's pretty nice. And then here I'm going to swap over his gear or his option here to get more HP. Hopefully this doesn't cost me too much gold. But the problem is you have no chance against the super meta, i.e. Sentry. You have no chance against the #1 meta. Deadpool just doesn't have enough HP despite my 80,000 HP. He just doesn't have enough HP, doesn't have anywhere near enough defense, and he actually doesn't have enough, like, protection. Because Sentry has that iframe ignore on 1, you can't hide. And the really unfortunate thing is that Deadpool's first skill is not a full iframe. So I really think we're gonna just jump into some matches here. I'm gonna try to find some accounts that I think I can show you guys Deadpool, because that's the thing here. It can be very tough to showcase a character in PvP when they just die too quickly, right? You can't just jump into matches quickly. So I'll do some editing. We'll do some cuts here, but I'll try to showcase and show you why Deadpool just he's okay against these metas, against non-Sentry teams. He might actually be useful, but again, why would you invest in this uniform for that when you've already invested in all these other characters that can do that or a better job of it? So we're gonna switch here to Deadpool. We're gonna do 5. So the really nice thing about this new Deadpool here is you've got the iframe ignore and you've got long iframes on 4 and 5. So long iframes on 4 and 5 create this situation where the enemy oftentimes just stands there. Again, if they don't have iframe ignore, right? So Jean is a good example of a character who just stands here and takes the damage for the most part. Now, Deadpool can kind of struggle to do enough damage to kill her, as you can see, but he gets the job done. Here, we just have to bait out his skill. He has a reforged CTP of regeneration here. We just got to bait this out, and then we can try to kill him here. He might interrupt us, so we're going to do the tier 3 skill, but... So, yeah. We actually ended up not doing enough damage to kill Silver Surfer with our combined 5th skill and tier 3 skill. And then he was able to kill us by using his 3rd skill, iframe ignore counter attack, once it built up back off of cooldown. So I'm looking at this situation and I'm kind of scratching my head. I'm like, they didn't make this uniform better for PvE, right? They didn't make it good for Null. They didn't give Deadpool accumulation or like anything for Null. They could have given him like Pierce, right? It's his 30th anniversary, right? They made all this fuss about it, but he's not that good. They could have made him so much better for PvP. They could have given him way more HP. Like, sure, make him a little bit OP. It's his 30th anniversary. Like, it's the Dawn of X and Deadpool update. Like, he's literally in the name. Deadpool is a character that, like, if he's not good, there's no point in advertising it because the whole branding is literally him, right? People don't really care unless it's him. So I'm not really sure what the idea was here. So we're gonna swap over now and try this team here because I have a little bit more success with this team offensively. And the thing is, Deadpool, he can't survive anyways, right? I've got between 190 and 200,000 HP. It's just not enough. All these characters are 200k plus, and they do absolutely bonkers damage. So you basically just have to play this like bait game, running around. Like, see, you do enough damage, but the the enemy you're fighting has to not have ignore dodge, or ignore iframe, excuse me. And sometimes for whatever reason, you just get interrupted as well. So like this is pretty good, but again, like, you know, why use Deadpool when you can use someone else? So here we're gonna use 5. It's hilarious, I gotta say. Like, I just died again. So the skill the skill takes so long to animate, and it does so little damage that Silver Surfer has enough time for his 5th skill to come off cooldown. Or his 3rd skill. Keep in mind, I think Silver Surfer's 3rd skill cooldown is like 30 seconds. So it's like 15 seconds or something like that. Let me double check, but it's a long time. So like the fact that he can't do enough damage in that window, I'm literally doing the 5th skill as soon as Silver Surfer's 3rd skill has finished. So what? It's 18 seconds. Okay, so I have 9 seconds. It's not quite 30, but I have 9 seconds to kill him. And Deadpool can't do it. Maybe, you know, if you could pull off a 3 cancel 5 or something like that, but you can see all the work that you're going through to get what exactly, right? What exactly are you getting with all of this work? And again, you have to avoid Sentry teams. You have to avoid Hulk teams. 100%. There is no, I'll show you what it looks like. It's rough. And you can't even start with Deadpool either. Okay, so we're gonna try 3 and then 5. Okay, the targeting is off, so I'm not even hitting Silver Surfer. Awesome. That was weird. Okay, cool. Okay, he just did his tier 3 skill. Very cool. Okay, there we go. We ended up getting him to fall by using our by using our iframe ignore, but then the AoE of his tier 3 plus him chasing us and doing his 5th skill was just too much. What's the point? What's the point in using Deadpool? Tell me. I certainly can't figure it out. Again, if they were going to make substantial changes to PvP, right? If they were gonna, like, instead of just doing this challenger thing for 50 players or 25 players or whatever, if they were gonna actually create these leagues that were segregated properly, like, let's say there was a league where you could only use combat speed and blast, and you couldn't use universals, for example. Let's say there was a rule for 1 week where you can't use any universals. This new Deadpool would be very, very good. He would be the 2nd best character. He would probably only die to Hulk and maybe Gladiator. But he would be very, very good. But he just doesn't, like, why would you buy this uniform? Why would you even consider getting the Synergy uniform? Unless you're a whale, unless you're doing it for fun. But I figured, you know, 30th anniversary Deadpool, I figured they were going to do a little bit more. Let me show you what happens against Sentry. I figured they were going to do more than this. So I really think that they should go back and buff Deadpool. I really feel like this was an error on their part, and they just didn't give him enough. Try to use, so just going to try my best here. He just he can barely survive. He can barely survive, and he just doesn't do any damage. And I can't even get his 5th skill off because I'm constantly being interrupted and ignored and iframed on. Right? Maybe if they gave his 5th skill iframe ignore, or they gave it some crazy priority like Sentry's 5th skill. But in the current landscape, he just has no chance. So you basically better get used to seeing this screen if you want to use Deadpool in PvP again. So it basically, like, I basically wasted 600 crystals. It's 300 to unequip the energy, and it's going to be 300 to unequip the regen. Again, if they were going to make substantial changes to timeline battle in a way that was going to allow different teams to settle in, then I could definitely see why they would create this Deadpool uniform. But at this point, it kind of feels like, you know, you're in a class, you're in an art class, and they're giving you all these different colored crayons or different colored pencils, but then they're telling you at the end of the day you're only going to be graded on the first 5 colors you use. So why should I bother using aquamarine and fuchsia and like crimson and all these wacky colors? Why should we bother with upgrading Holiday Lady Deadpool to 30th anniversary Deadpool when he's not better for PvE? He's arguably worse for PvE because of the fact that you can't insta-cancel 5, or basically insta-cancel 5. You might end up accidentally proccing on 5 and ruining your DPS. And then in the game mode that you very obviously hint towards his value being increased, right? PvP, HP, dodge, iframe ignore. You're like very obviously with these neon signs hinting, hey guys, we want you to use 30th anniversary 30th anniversary Deadpool in PvP. The teams are all the same, and all the teams have Sentry. Do I expect them to release a uniform for Deadpool that makes him better than Sentry? No. Obviously, if Sentry were to fight Deadpool one-on-one in comics, Sentry would just keep ripping Deadpool in half. Deadpool has no chance. I get that. But something else has to give, right? You're not going to sell these uniforms based on the looks alone long term. So you've got to make changes to PvP and timeline battle in order to make this uniform, in order to sell this uniform. Otherwise, there's no point in making these like mid-level PvP uniforms. There's just no point. They serve no purpose whatsoever. And it just kind of leaves the player base frustrated, because for the longest time, Deadpool was known as a PvE powerhouse, and that's what they wanted, right? With this uniform and this uniform, that's what we wanted to see improved upon. Instead of improving on it, you went the other way with PvP, which is fine, but there's no sell, right? Hey guys, do you want a mid-level PvP character that you're not going to use anyways because you have Sentry and Silver Surfer and these characters? You could literally just do Hulk. Hulk is just way better than Deadpool. Hulk will destroy Deadpool every single time because Hulk has type advantage, and Hulk has an iframe ignore skill as well, and Hulk has way more HP. Hulk will just obliterate Deadpool. So you're gonna spend 1200 CCF for this guy, or just spend 800 for Hulk, and Hulk actually has a chance against Silver Surfer. He actually has a chance against Sentry, right? So yeah, I don't think this one was thought out well. I think they need to buff it personally, and I cannot recommend that you get it for anything other than the aesthetics. Aesthetically speaking, the uniform is gorgeous. The animation wise, the uniform is hilarious and it's really fun to play. But in terms of performance, this is at best equal to Holiday Lady Deadpool, possibly worse. It gives you no new functionality, no new game mode buffs. It doesn't make the character better for squad battle. It doesn't make the character better for null or ABX or anything like that. And the intended game mode that it's supposed to be good for, aka PvP, is just a waste. So yeah, kind of a critical, very critical, kind of negative review. It's unfortunate, but I'm being a bit harder on them than I might be for other uniforms, because it's literally the 30th anniversary Deadpool, right? It should be better than this. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Maybe hopefully I've saved you 1,000 crystals if you were on the fence about this one. And I will see you in the next one. Take care.